We are here church planting. That's our main ministry. We moved here about 5 years ago, spent a lot of time getting to know people in the community, and eventually started having regular services.
恁着学乐耶和华，着唱新的歌，学乐耶和华，伫圣的百姓的会中学乐伊。
Our target is working class, more blue-collar people. They feel comfortable here. We're very informal. We have small group discussions after our message on Sunday where people can ask their questions.
Our children's outreach began with an invitation to go to the public school on Tuesday morning and tell a story while the teachers were in a meeting. It was okay to tell a Bible story. They were welcoming of that, so we've been doing that for 5 years. From that, they invited us back to do summer camps. We usually have 50 to 80 kids for a 5-day camp. They have 2 English classes a day. They have 2 Bible classes a day and also 2 activity classes. We have singing in English, singing in Chinese. Pretty full day, start to finish. 5 years ago, when we first came back to Chowto, we knew a lady who ran a Christian children's home, and she called us up at just a few months after we got back and said they had a baby that needed to be looked after by a family. And we took him. And since then, we've had 5 children that we've cared for, some for shorter periods, just a few months. Some of these children have gone to overseas to be adopted. And then, of course, this little girl we had the last year is a baby with a brain injury. And this is our first experience looking after a special needs child. And in this process, we've ourselves gone to be formally trained as foster parents. So now we're recognized as foster parents for Kaohsiung City. And we've also, in that process, discovered the need for foster parents, that there's really a shortage. There's children waiting for families. So this is a need that we'd like to promote more when we come back after our home assignment. Let churches know, hoping that Christians will step up to this need.
Taking care of these foster children had kind of an unintended benefit, and that was when we would go out walking with them in the stroller, that people were very, very curious to know what their situation was. You know, why were these tall white foreigners walking around with this little Chinese baby in their stroller? Where did the baby come from? And through this, we met a lot of people we never would have met, because people would just come up to us and stop us and start asking us questions and talking to us. And I think it really helped us to, build more relationships and get more accepted in the community. One of the biggest barriers to people coming to faith in Christ is the local religion and ancestor worship. We come from our Western kind of post-Christian worldview, where people have some understanding of what we're talking about when we talk about God, when we talk about the Bible or Jesus. But people here have literally no understanding of who God is, who Jesus is. I've had people ask me, well, why did Jesus die on the cross anyway? I mean, wasn't he a good guy? In their way of thinking, if you do good things, you get good things happening to you. And if you do bad things, sooner or later, that's going to come back and you're going to get your payment for that.
I've asked people at a temple, I say, oh, what God are you worshiping here? And they say, I don't know, just the local God, so I worship it. That's what we do, so we do it.
A lot of people really struggle with this idea that there's only one true God, and we have to just believe in this one God, which means we're not going to pray to all those other gods. One girl told me once, she said, we believe the more gods, the more blessings. So it's great you Christians worship Jesus, and we worship these gods, and maybe we can worship Jesus too. But, we start explaining that, no, God is a jealous God, and he says, worship me only. Ooh, that's really tough to accept.
There's 1 month in the year, in the lunar calendar, that they call the Hungry Ghost Month. and they make offerings more frequently. And the belief is that the ghosts need to be fed.
You either become a hungry ghost or a happy ghost, to kind of simplify it a little bit. And the way that you are a happy ghost, which of course is what everybody wants to be, is you need to have your family, after you die, making offerings for you. So they're providing you with the things you need in the other world, the food, the money. They burn this money that's for the bank of hell, and giving you all these things. So if the oldest son in the family says, I want to become a Christian, that is causing a major crisis for his parents and grandparents. And they're very, very upset, because that for them means he becomes a Christian, he's not going to be making all those offerings for them. And they then believe that they're going to be left as hungry ghosts in the other world. So there's tremendous pressure on children, particularly the oldest son, to continue these traditions of making these offerings. There's a couple that we met who are actually our age. We were introduced to them by our landlord, and they were very curious about us. Who are these people and why are they here? And then when we started taking care of this little boy, they were really curious about that, and they felt like, oh wow, these people are so loving. And they would come over, and we went to their house, and we shared stories, Bible stories with them. We shared testimonies with them. They slowly grew in their understanding. They started coming to our church to services. And about 2 years ago, they were baptized. And through that whole process, again, it's a long story, but through that whole process, their daughter and son-in-law became Christians. Their son and daughter-in-law became Christians, and their kids. The wife's parents have both become Christians, and her father used to be a spirit medium. He's now in his 80s, and yet he's believed in the Lord. And I was able to be present when a group of local Christians, went to his house and cleared out all of his idol worshiping stuff and his idols. And this guy had a massive idol shelf in his living room with several idols. And it all got cleared out, and we prayed over the house and prayed over him. It was just really something. So it's been really neat to see God working in that family, and now see 4 generations of that family following the Lord.
I think just to be a presence in the community in as many ways as possible. Recently we had a lady come, and we said, how did you hear about the church? And she said, there was some literature left at a bakery, and the bakery owner told me about your church. The bakery owner doesn't come to the church.
He's not a Christian.
But they were willing to have literature put in their shop for people to pick up. And our town isn't very big, but she said, I had no idea there was a church in this town. And then I heard from the baker about this place, so she came over. And somebody else came over last week and donated a xylophone to the church. And we said, how did you find us? He said, online. I saw your website. So that would be another thing, just to, making your presence felt in different ways.
If God is calling you into a particular place to start a church, I believe that He's also preparing people there to work with you and preparing people to hear the gospel. So you should be praying and asking God to show you where are those Christians who are in that community who you can partner with. Because we can't do this alone. God sent us here, but we need our local brothers and sisters to work with us together. We would love to see the church continue to grow, and we would like to see the church grow to the point where we're seeing other churches started in some of the communities around us. That's really part of our vision, is to grow like bamboo, because bamboo spreads out from the kind of parent plant. And we want to see the church grow, see more people come to Christ and find life